I'd like to go ahead and welcome Teresa. Are we okay to go?
He's in the other room.
Okay.
So we're recording.
Pete, are you ready?
We're
Okay, we're good.
Okay. Welcome on this very warm, smoky Tuesday. Glad to see you all here. We're going to spend a few minutes just going through the agenda and review and preview of upcoming agenda items. So you all have a copy of the agenda in here, and we'll just follow that. But after item number 3, what I was informed, and I'm very grateful for this, that we can do this, is that we have the opportunity to remember former city council member Margaret Black. She passed away very unexpectedly last Friday. And so I will say a few words and then we'll have a moment of silence before we go on, Carrie, to the Bravo scholarship winners, the rest of those items. We'll have personal appearances, and then we have our meeting minutes that we'll approve for 2 meetings in May. And then it's time to appoint a mayor pro tem, a new mayor. Thank you for pro temming, if that's a verb. First half of the year. And so Councilmember Lamson, are you down for that?
I'm down for that.
Down for that. Okay. I will do my best not to become ill or get in accidents or anything.
Counting on you.
We also, after that, we have an ordinance amending chapter 10 of the Orem City Code pertaining to flood damage prevention, and that's the FEMA. Is that the FEMA one?
Yes.
And as soon as we approve these consent items, I know Teresa talked about having me sign that one immediately because it has to be submitted today. Something. Was that the one?
I hadn't heard that, but
Wait, okay, Teresa, well, let's wait for Teresa to get back.
It was, but they sent us a letter. They forgot to give us the notice that,
Oh,
so
okay.
we have a little bit of time left.
Okay, Teresa, you don't have to do it today. Signing.
Sure. Aaron just met with me and was like, I need it posted today.
But there was an extension. I don't know. Anyway, I'll be there and I'll sign it if whatever.
I have it ready for you.
Oh, well, if it's ready, you might as well sign.
And then we also have on our consent calendar an ordinance changing the zone of the property at 355 West University Parkway from R8 single family residential to C2 with the development agreement. Remember that came to us just recently, and they just needed to have the development agreement in place with some changes. And so we'll have that on our consent calendar. Then we'll go ahead and we have a number of scheduled items. We have a resolution of the CDBG annual action plan. And it looks like authors signing a form and other documents. We also have we have several public hearings this evening. First one is amending articles of the city code requiring for the conducting neighborhood meetings in advance of applications to the planning commission.
So there is actually a tenant of that is missing. Should we table that to add was it Steve or Gary I talked to about that one? In June.
Yeah. So one of the issues that came up with this was at Planning Commission, they had a discussion about the requirement to mail out notices. And what we do is we mail notices to each property and we get the list from the county. So wherever that property notice or for like their taxes, wherever that would go, that's where our notice goes. We did have a discussion about in some areas of the city, we have lots of renters. And so a tax notice may go to an accountant or somebody in Salt Lake or out of state because they're renting it. And the actual renter at that address where they live would not get the notice. And we actually talked with Madeline at the Planning Commission while we discussed it. Planning Commission didn't actually make a recommendation, and part of that is internally, we know that can be an issue. We don't quite know how yet to solve that issue. And the reason is the list we get to send out is from the county. We can get a list of properties that are just addresses and send to addresses. But if we just send to the addresses, then often property owners will not get a notice. And if we send to the county records, renters may not get a notice. And if we send to both, a lot of people will get 2 notices. And so we don't have an easy fix in our department of how to winnow those lists unless we do it by hand right now. And so what the Planning Commission talked about is like, okay, that's a problem. We need to think about how we're going to fix it. Let's not hold up what we have, and we'll send it on to council.
Okay.
And so we can do whatever the council would like, but that is definitely an issue that you should think about and talk about, is how legal noticing under state law, there's kind of a built-in preference for it to go to the actual property owner so that they know. Renters, frankly, are a little secondary, but a lot of renters live there, and we want them to be included in the process too. We just don't have a great solution.
They're voters,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Could we, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, more and more people are renting. It's happening to them. They may be long-term renters, you know, it's not necessarily as transitory as it used to be. So yeah, I don't know what their solution.
Yeah, and that Planning Commission, we didn't come up with a solution, and I don't have a good solution for you today on how to handle that. If you wanted to continue this, we could do that, and we could come back in a future work meeting after we've looked at it, see how we might fix it so that property owners get notice and renters get notice without duplicating costs and staff time and effort.
I'm wondering if,
Approve this and promise to come back with solutions on.
I have a question about how to do, not a possible solution. It would be a perfect solution, but a solution or an option. Because we do have the renters are the voters, property owners are the taxpayers. I think it's important that the notice gets mailed to the property owner, but I also think, again, that the renters should be able to.
Yeah.
Have we thought about putting a sign on the property, a public notice, a notice saying that this property is under development review or something like that? So those renters in the area or the people who live in the immediate area can see that something's happening on the property. So we meet the legal notice requirement, plus we can meet the requirement, well, we can let the neighbors know that something's happening.
Yeah, and that's a great idea, and I know a lot of communities do that, that an actual notice, and you have certain size requirements for the signs. And so one possible solution, well, a part of this is to increase the boundary to which we send notices. In some cases, it goes to 2,000 feet from the property. We think that's a good idea. Frankly, I would like to see this go forward tonight to do that. And then you'd have my commitment that we'll come back very quickly within the next couple of months. And we'll talk about some ideas that we have on how to do this. And it might be a combination of signs. We'll investigate whether we can automate the winnowing of lists. So we're not, sometimes we mail out 500 mailers and we don't want to do 1,000 because we're duplicating things. That could eventually be quite a bit of expense. So we need to think about in my department how we do this carefully. But in the meantime, I'd like to get these in place because I think they're going to be helpful for neighborhoods now.
I know that Chair Coleman was in favor of moving this forward as well. I mean, she was in favor of,
Who was?
Madeline, Chair Coleman.
Oh, Chairman.
I was thinking too, I had a conversation with some people earlier today about ways to communicate with residents. And there is technology out there that if you can do like a geofence and then text people who live within a certain area. If we have their information, if there's a way to obtain cell phone information. So there are a variety of different ways that we can attempt.
Don't we have landlord licensing? If they're renters, if it's a rental property, you should have a rental license for it.
Yeah, and those are the types of ideas that I'm hesitant. I think some of these ideas we've talked about would be very helpful for us and doable, but I don't want to make any commitments here. I need to go back and think about it and look at it because I don't want an unintended consequence of now I have somebody doing 15 hours of work a week,
Yeah.
going through the notices and things like that. But we want to use technology like the geofencing. We can do signs, we can do, maybe there's a good, easy way that I don't know off the top of my head to have two lists of addresses and have either AI or something, some program go through and spit out a definitive, a list that doesn't duplicate things. And if we can do stuff like that quickly, that's what I'd like to come back. And just because we have something in an ordinance and we're doing it, I still think we should explore things like email lists, getting people to sign up for My Provo, what did I say? Well, I want them to do that so they can have input on the development in the canyon. So.
Hi, Dave.
My Orem, and come up with some ideas so that we can, just in general, how do we engage the public? Not just meeting our technical legal requirements. We want to meet the base legal requirements, but frankly, we want to go above and beyond those base requirements to get the community as notified and involved as possible.
Okay. Thank
Move
you.
forward.
All right. And then the planning ordinance continues. Well, I was gonna say, I was a planning intern many, many years ago for Provo City. And I remember having to go out to a piece of property in a thunderstorm, in a dress, trying to beat a sign into rock hard ground with a large rock.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have the hammer, I don't know what the hammer was, but I didn't have it. And so I don't want anyone to miss out on that opportunity. Okay. It's fine. Next item we'll have is a public hearing, an ordinance amending the city code, including standard SLU 6231 beauty and barber shops and SLU 6232 tattoo and body piercing as permitted uses in the M2 manufacturing zone. Then after that, we will have another public hearing amending the ordinance to include SLU code 7424 recreation centers general as a permitted use in the PD5 zone. For those who are listening at home, the PD5 zone is along University Parkway. And then we have a public hearing, another ordinance. This is about our budget amendments. So we have that with bringing us in. And the city manager information items, and then we will adjourn to a meeting of the redevelopment agency. Well, we will approve the minutes. We will have another public hearing with a resolution approving the redevelopment agency budget. And then when we're done with that, we will adjourn from the redevelopment agency to the special service lighting district and approve the minutes, and then have another public hearing approving the special service lighting district budget. And then we will adjourn from being a special service lighting district and reconvene as a Orem Municipal Building Authority. And we're only approving the minutes for the building authority, is that right? I know we're not gonna be approving a budget. And then after that. Adjourn. Questions? Hey, we'll continue eating and chatting and we will eventually all end up in there at 6.
You want to adjourn this meeting so we can recording and.
Oh, yeah, let's have a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Adjourn. So,
Aye.
all right. I don't have to hear us eat. Or see us eat.
Oh, yeah.
It was like really catching Gary.
Oh, I forgot to bring the stickers. No. Are you talking about the signers?
No, the video,
What video?
the Babel video, the Babel scholarship.
That?
Yeah.
No.
Never think about it. I just thought she would talk. I didn't even think about a video.
Yeah, they got
So we
so.
probably need this.
We're up in the game this year.
Uh-oh, my thing's dead. That's all right, I'll just put it. Oh, no, it's dead. I was thinking we didn't have video.
Babel first.
Thought I was done after my associates. I thought I was done after my bachelor's and. Yeah, it should be first.
Oh, you got the split screen, you know?
Why? It shouldn't. Oh. I think someone tried. I just want to both be the same, right? There we go. So ready. Look at that. Oh, if the speaker works. Thought I was done after my associates. I thought I was done after my bachelor's and now I'm going for my master's and I feel like. Sure, really short. Three chairs.
Got a good life.
It's funny, back. Got it, for instance. Right, yeah. Like, give him a share. Yeah. Very much. It's most. Not.
I knew something was
Off.
Does it say training? We just went through David. I don't, but I clearly, you know what threw me off is we're gonna wear these, take off the ribbons and not wear the tie and no shit. Yeah, so we're not, you know, I don't even have any ribbon. Clearly.
Yeah.
They should have had a different steel frame. Last Yeah.
Like. But.
And they're actually say if we took our names, probably it's nothing is new. Those aren't even big. Oh, those aren't as big. They're called the kangaroos. He's got one called the cranes. These are like. I got them to come with my wife. Yeah, it's an ass with flag. It's a daughter's. And so we mean fall through things, so we just that good ties. Hoodie. He wants to go to Target. Nice meeting. Oh, then I went, I'm band-aid this back and. We're twins that just. Oh, yes. February. Pat Larson was January, it was February, so the two wins. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So pretty easy.
I know, they could have like, did a. Like. I like this. I mean, I don't know about. I don't know, that's so big.
So, standing tonight?
I'll sit next to him.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, sir. How are you doing?
So, yes. Oh, thank you for having. That was cool last night.
Yeah.
Awesome. You want any? Oh, yeah. No. Like, thanks for doing this. Oh, yeah. Well, we're gonna start doing some stuff. Awesome. Yeah, so. Oh, okay. I was making sure, because these guys, then it's just so you know, need it to be loud. They're up into every little thing. I checked. To see it. Hopefully they don't trip. No, it's a harm. It'll be all right, so.
I would like to welcome you to this evening's city council meeting. we're glad you're here and coming to be part of the public process. So I'll go ahead and I've called the meeting to order, and we have an invocation or inspirational thought, and it will be presented by Mr. Jim Bell, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Diane Wanamaker.
Here?
Yes. Hey, well, this is for everyone, but I'll talk to you. Recently, this is a inspirational thought, but also a prayer. So there you go. Recently, I took a road trip from my home in Orem to Mesa, Arizona. I drove through breathtaking swaths of beauty ranging from arid deserts to high mountain forests. The different views I saw, sometimes within a few miles, were dramatic. I've lived in the remarkable city of Orem for over 40 years in one apartment and 4 different houses. Each was quite different in its appearance, in the neighborhoods, in the friends we made, in the experiences we shared, experiences that have ranged from celebrating my oldest daughter's wedding in our beautiful North Orem yard to then burying her 6 years later in a quiet corner of the Orem cemetery. Through lots of road trips and lots of years being part of several subsets of our incredible community, I have learned that our differences, dramatic as they sometimes are, can either unite us and make our lives richer, or our differences can destroy us. Though everyone here tonight has much in common, we're each uniquely different, sometimes in ways that whisper and other times in ways we shout from the rooftops. But my hope is that what is discussed and decided upon tonight will grow out of the good that can come from our differences, and that we'll each avoid the damage that so easily flows from enmity and divisiveness.
Thank you.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Right. Next item on the agenda are mayor's items, and I take a moment and remember one of my dear friends, former city council member Margaret Black. I had the opportunity to serve with Margaret Black on the city council for 7 years. She passed away unexpectedly last Friday, and causing a lot of shock. I've been alternating between laughing at the memories I have of us serving on the council together and tears, and thinking about how she and one of her friends were the first people to really introduce me to the culture of my faith tradition by writing an essay called Patty Perfect back in the late 1970s. And it was hilarious, about just kind of poking fun at what women in my faith traditions many tend to think how their lives should be. And it was pretty funny. But come to find out that it was the same Margaret Black. I remember asking her, "Are you the same Margaret Black who wrote Patty Perfect?" And she starts laughing and said, "Oh yes, we had so much fun sitting at my kitchen table writing that, thinking about all the funny things that, just zipping oneself into the sweatsuit and keeping the scrapbooks up to date and all of that stuff." But she loved our community. She served with passion for 9 years on the city council from 2007 to 2016. And those who know her know she was a fierce and tireless advocate for our community, public safety, education, the arts, and the beautification of our community, the discussions we'd have about hanging baskets in our community. Beyond the council, she served in many different capacities. She served as chair and board member of Community Action Services and Food Bank, as the representative of Orem City. She was an active member of the Orem Kiwanis Club, and multiple terms as a PTA president and various other civic board positions. And one thing that I got to know her more personally is over her 40-year career as a piano teacher, teaching my children piano and taught piano to hundreds of local students. And she and her husband, Dennis, served a mission for their church in Seoul, Korea. So we would like to take just a moment to have a moment of silence as we remember Margaret and what she has done for our community. So if you'll join me with that, we'll just take a brief moment of silence for her. Thank you. So our hearts go out to her husband, Dennis, and their 6 children, and their many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So thank you. She'll be missed. Next item on the agenda, I'll turn the time over to our Deputy City Manager, Carrie Ruck, for a presentation on the Building a Better Orem Scholarship winners.
Do a quick video and then.
I thought I was done after my associates. I thought I was done after my bachelor's, and now I'm going for my master's. And I feel like the city really helped me know not just the importance of education, but also that I could believe in myself because they believed in me as well.
I was debating between my MBA and my MPA, but after working for Orem, I've decided that there's such a large career path here in local government and within Orem. So I saw a lot of potential within the MPA program.
I started with the city as an intern for the engineering division. I decided to take a break from school just to kind of help my finances. And after getting into the GIS field and getting the current job I'm in, I realized it was my passion. Through the Babel Scholarship, I was able to continue doing that.
I graduated from Mountain View in 1995, went to Snow College, never graduated from Snow. In 2018, Snow contacted me, said, hey, you're really close to graduating. Do you want to finish up? So I got my associates. Then I decided I need to go back and finish my degree. So with help from the Babel Scholarship, I went back to UVU and graduated in 2023 with my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. The Babel Scholarship gives you the opportunity to see that the city sees your future and sees that you're important enough for them to want to invest a little bit in. So it gave me not just the money, but also the courage to go back and change some things, go back to school at my age.
Because of the Babel Scholarship, when I went back to school, I didn't have to take out any student loans.
I'm really grateful for the financial burden relief that it kind of gave me when I was going through my degree.
I think that everybody should go for something that they want to do, even if it's scary for them.
It has genuinely changed my life and the life of my family. As a first generation student, it really means a lot that I could be the first, and the city was a part of that.
Ultimately, I think what the Babel Scholarships provided me is an opportunity to continue serving the residents of Orem.
I love the city. I love working here. I plan to be here forever. I just feel like everybody has always been Team Terra, and then that's part of why I'm Team Orem.
Mayor and Council, the Babel Ambassador Scholarship began in 2021. Since that time, with your support, the city has awarded 41 employee scholarships. As a result of these scholarships, 17 of the previous awardees have been promoted within the city. This scholarship program successfully opens doors to growth for those who may not otherwise have the opportunity to pursue a formal education and be competitive for new opportunities within the city. Given how successful this scholarship program has been in previous years, I am excited to share that this year is no exception. This year's awardees exemplify building a better Orem. I am proud to present to you the 2026-2027 Babel Scholarship awardees. As I call your name, if you are here, please come up and accept your scholarship award, and then we'll take a photo with the council afterwards. Andrew Belknap. Andrew is a captain in the fire department and has worked for the city for almost 11 years. He plans to use this scholarship towards his master's degree in public administration. Adam Butts. Adam is a public utilities operator in Public Works and has been with the city for 1.5 years. He plans to use this scholarship towards a bachelor's degree and hopes to become a librarian in the future. Bryce, watch out. Jake Gould. He is the manager of desktop experience in IT. He has worked for the city for 5 years and plans to use this scholarship towards his bachelor's degree in IT management. Chris Hadlock. Chris is a lieutenant in the police department. He has worked for the city for 7 years, and he plans to use his scholarship towards his bachelor's degree. Jeremy Jameson. Jeremy is a lieutenant in the police department. He will use his scholarship to work towards his master's degree. Matthew Kammerer. Matt is a librarian at the Orem Public Library. He will use his scholarship to finish his master's degree in library and information science. Gary Ledoux. Gary is the neighborhood improvement team manager, and he will use his scholarship towards his MBA. Michael Locke. Michael is a police sergeant and will use the scholarship towards his associate's degree in criminal justice or public administration. Casey Metcalf. Casey is a lieutenant in the fire department and will use his scholarship to further his formal education and expand his knowledge and leadership abilities. Casey Palmer. Casey is a police service specialist. She will use her scholarship for professional studies at BYU. Mariah Shirley. Mariah is the fitness center manager and will use the scholarship towards her bachelor's degree in business management. Cameron Wilson. Cameron is the police department's behavioral health specialist. She will use her scholarship towards an applied human behavior certificate. Okay, all right. So if you guys will just send her, we'd like to get a picture of you with our council.
Should I?
Yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
And next.
Thank you, and congratulations to all of you. I'm really excited that the city has this program and that so many of you have taken advantage of it and are improving and growing and learning. So thank you, and best wishes and good luck on your studies. And may say may the homework come easy. For you. All right, we have our next item on our agenda, presentation by our school resource officer. So I will turn the time over to you two.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you today. My name is Sergeant Neil Skogard, and with me is Sergeant Mike Locke. I've been with Orem Police for 11 years. The last 4, I've been supervisor of our school resource officer unit. During that time, I worked closely with the Alpine School District toward the joint goal of improving school safety for the children of Orem City. Sergeant Locke, who has also been with Orem Police for 11 years, is our new SRO sergeant. Our SRO unit is composed of 4 detectives and 1 sergeant. Each member of the unit spends all of their time in Orem schools, working closely with administrators, faculty and staff, and most importantly, the students. We cover 6 secondary schools, 12 elementaries, 1 charter, and 1 private school. Following best practices, Orem SROs use the National Association of School Resource Officers triad model. We are first and foremost law enforcement officers in the school, as well as informal mentors and public safety educators. While the mission of keeping everyone safe is always the most important, time building connections and interacting directly with the students is vital to our success. Orem SROs are asked to wear many hats, and above all, we take the responsibility of protecting many thousands of Orem's children as a sacred duty. In keeping with the tradition of Orem police being proactive leaders in our profession, the SRO unit has been implementing new ideas for many years, working closely with the Alpine School District and other SRO units across the county. Orem facilitated new ways to share vital communications and improve responses to broader scale concerns, such as large-scale hoax threats. For years, Orem SROs, working with other Orem police officers outside of the SRO unit, have innovated to improve in several aspects of school policing. Many of these ideas have later become the standard for SROs across the state, including some that have been codified into law. The Assailant Response Method grid system, which was developed by Orem officers, has been implemented in many Orem schools for several years. The grid system uses alphanumeric markers to assist emergency responders to quickly locate an area of a large school building where an incident is happening. This allows for clearer communications, resulting in much faster response times, as most first responders will not know how to navigate to Mrs. Smith's math class or Coach Thompson's PE class when they are not intimately familiar with the school. In November of 2024, Orem Police Lieutenant Travis Anderson presented the ARM grid system to the Utah State Legislature, which was adopted into law and will be required in every school in the state in the near future. Orem SROs have been conducting building assessments on each individual school for years, long before such assessments were required by law. These assessments look at both the physical security as well as the security protocols and their practical application for each building and its occupants. Safety drills are routinely attended by our SROs, and valuable feedback is provided to improve for the future. All Orem SROs are trained in multidisciplinary threat assessments in order to intervene when threats are reported or observed. This again follows nationwide best practices using the comprehensive school threat assessment guidelines known as the CSTAG model. One of the most notable changes in Utah law has been the implementation of the school guardian program. This is where current school employees are equipped with specialized training to not only carry a concealed firearm at the school, but to respond immediately to a threat to school safety for the short time between when the crisis starts and first responders arrive. Orem Police, along with the SRO unit, have worked closely with these individuals to ensure they have the skills and knowledge to fill that critical role in the event of the worst happening. The SROs continue to work closely with everyone involved in the Guardian program to keep their training relevant. The Orem SRO unit was nationally recognized as the recipient of the 2024 NASRO Model Agency Award. This highly competitive honor is reserved for agencies that demonstrate peak professional excellence in policy, specialized training, and commitment to the triad model. No other agency in Utah had previously won this award. The support of Orem City leaders, police department administration, and the Alpine School District, as well as our close working relationship with vital partners, allowed us to excel to this achievement. As we move forward in the ever-changing environment of school safety, the Orem Police Department School Resource Officer Unit is dedicated to furthering innovation and always striving to fulfill our reason for existing, to keep kids safe. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you for that overview. And I wasn't on the council at the time, but congratulations on the award. And that's wonderful.
Thank you.
And all the great work that you do. Council, do you have any questions or comments for Councilmember Gale?
I just want to say thank you for the work that you do, especially as a parent with children in the schools. I just really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. The support means everything to us.
Mm-hmm. We're grateful you're there.
Here.
All right, Councilmember Millet.
So I was at our new school district was having cluster meetings to talk about things that they wanted to implement in our new district. And I went to a couple of them. And the Timpanogos High School one sat on a table. There's one pillar that they talked about, and that was safety. And had some great conversations there, but it was really remarkable. One of the parents, well, a couple of parents on that table were very complimentary of the SROs in our schools, of the relationship that they have with the kids, of the positive mentorship, the positive opportunity to see a police officer, get to know a police officer, and become friends with a police officer, along with the training and the skill. All of that was actually, I asked after the meeting about that and spoke very highly of all that you do. So as I'll echo what Jen said, right there where our kids are, that's where our hearts are. So thank you for all your hard work and training to make that help us feel safe when we're at home.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Council? Councilmember Meekum.
And I'll just add, thanks for being innovative. Thanks for providing leadership for the state. I love it when we can take a leadership role in solving problems that others might also face. And I appreciate you letting me know how effective some of those innovations have been in terms of being adopted statewide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you and what you do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Right, the next item on our agenda is time set aside for personal appearances. It's been set aside for the public to express their ideas, concerns, and comments on items not scheduled as public hearings on the agenda. Those wishing to speak are encouraged to show respect for those who serve the city. Comments should focus on issues concerning the city. Those wishing to speak have already signed up. I have a list here before the beginning of the meeting, and need to ask you to keep your remarks to 3 minutes or less. And so we'll go ahead and start off with is Alona Shelley. Welcome. I love the flower. That's very pretty.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts and opinions. I've written them so they will be concise. Having large homes available through Airbnb has been a huge blessing to my family. We've gathered our children and grandchildren in large homes from Logan to Moab, as well as here locally. These homes have provided us with a place to cook, eat, sleep, talk, and play together. We've happily complied with the owner's rules of parking, curfews, play areas, and so on to maintain the order of the neighborhoods we've stayed in. Renting multiple rooms in a hotel could never have given us the same feeling of unity, privacy, and togetherness. For 7 years, I've been good friends with a neighbor who lives a few blocks from me and owns a large Airbnb on Palisade Drive. It's a fantastic place for families and friends to gather. Over the years, I've been very aware of my friend's conscientious efforts to be a responsible owner. Her large home is on a spacious lot with plenty of parking and garages, and she always strives to maintain the respect and goodwill of her neighbors. She's worked swiftly and diligently to address every issue that's come to her attention, whether from renters or from neighbors. Unlike some owners who don't carefully monitor their property, her family lives on the property and is available to handle concerns immediately if anything happens to arise. Of course, there can be problems with short-term rentals. Owners must be extremely responsible and watchful if this kind of business is to work well for everyone. Clearly, the location and number of short-term rentals need to be determined wisely. However, I believe our Orem City Council, our other city officials, and our citizens are up to the task. We can preserve the integrity of our neighborhoods while also allowing responsible property owners to offer the wonderful service my family and many others have so greatly benefited from. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming this evening. Right, next we have Craig Walker.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Craig, and I wanted to also share a personal experience that highlights the need for flexible housing options in Orem. My family is currently remodeling our home, which has made it temporarily unlivable for my wife and 4 young boys. During this time, we needed a safe, furnished place to stay for a month and a half while construction was completed. An Airbnb provided exactly what we needed. It allowed us to remain in the community, keep our routines, and avoid the stress and expense of signing a long-term lease, moving multiple times, or staying in a hotel that wasn't designated for my family life. And situations like ours happen all the time. Home remodels, insurance claims, temporary work assignments, caring for family members, or families transitioning between homes. When we hear flexible housing, we often think of tourists, but it can also be a practical resource that serves residents and families during temporary life events such as mine. As you consider regulations, I encourage you to preserve options that allow responsible short-term rentals to continue serving these community needs. Policies should balance neighborhood concerns while still allowing families access to safe, flexible housing when unexpected circumstances arise. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Great, thank you. Appreciate your comments. Next, we have Brendan Beebe. I don't see him. Okay, I don't see him here. So I'll move on to Barry Flint. Okay, Barry's not here. Okay, Kurt. I don't know what Kurt Forax? If they're not on the list, we can't have them come in and speak. I'm sorry. All right. We'll go ahead then, and that's all the public appearances. Those are the public appearances we have, council. I've just got a note here asking if we can take a quick break after personal appearances to fix a tech issue. So, all right, away we go. Take a little break.
Is it too late? Brendan, maybe? Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
Jared? Getting better.
All right. I guess we're good to go now. So we'll go ahead and continue our city council meeting. Council, we have our consent items, which include approval of the meeting minutes of May 12th and May 26th, appointing Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Lampson, in which I'm going to just say appreciate Council Member Kilpack filling that capacity for the first 6 months of this year. We also have on our consent calendar an ordinance amending Chapter 10 of the Orem City Code pertaining to flood damage prevention, and an ordinance amending Article 22-5-3A in the zoning map of the city of Orem by changing the zone of the property located generally at 355 West University Parkway from R8 to C2, together with a development agreement. And just as a reminder that this came and had its public hearing at a prior meeting and is coming back just because the development agreement needed to be updated with the changes from what we recommended. So I would entertain a motion to accept and approve the consent calendar.
I motion to approve the consent items.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Gale. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Councilmember Kilpack. All right, we're going to go ahead and start with, we'll start with Councilmember Gale on voting.
Aye.
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 Why did these turn off? Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Would you pass this down to Teresa? There. Thank you. All right. We now have our scheduled items. And so we'll start with our first one, which is a resolution to adopt the CDBG 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan Update to authorize the mayor to execute the Standard Form 424, the grantee certification, and all other HUD application documents. And a word I've never seen before, the fiscal year, what is that word? Okay. Is that supposed to be approve? Okay, I thought we went some foreign language, approche. I'm sorry. I am such a literal person. I can be a party pooper because I'm such a literal person. I thought, what is that word? Approve the fiscal year 2026-2027 CDBG budget. Thank you, those of you who are more creative minded than I, for helping our poor mayor out. I will turn the time over to Bradley Day, our Community and Sustainability Officer, and Taylor Draney, Mountain Land Association of Governments. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. We had an adjustment which we had made to the CDBG budget, which you are aware of that we had when we presented on May 26th. With that adjustment, we had a period of public comments from May 23rd to the 22nd and a public hearing held on June 11th. That is all now closed. And with us, we turn the time to you all to have the opportunity to vote on the CDBG budget and all those associated materials and items as well.
All right. Any questions? Councilmember Lamson.
Were there any comments? I mean, were there any things that came from the public?
Fantastic question. We did not receive any public comments, and we have received the comments which we've had as we've interacted with y'all in meetings and taken those into account to the ability that we can.
All right. Thank you. If there are no other questions, we'll go bring back to council, and there's an example of a motion there that we could do, or if there's something else you'd like to do.
Mayor, I move to adopt the Orem Community Development Block Grant, CDBG 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan Update to authorize the mayor to execute the Standard Form 424, the grantee certification on all other required HUD application documents, and approve the fiscal year 2026-2027 CDBG budget.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Right. Thank you, Councilmember Lamson. We'll go ahead and start voting with Councilmember Muhlstein.
Aye.
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 Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. It's an ordinance amending Articles 22-14-20I and 22-1-5G, modifying requirements for the conduct of neighborhood meetings in advance of applications to the Planning Commission. So we'll turn the time over to Planning Manager Jared Hall.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. How are you doing? I appreciate being here tonight to talk about this. This is the culmination of a lot of different conversations and work that's happened over the past. I believe it started actually as a conversation before I came on with the city as an employee. So it goes way back a little ways. As a background, under Orem's code, projects that are changes to zoning and applications that are site plans that are adjacent to or within a residential zone are required to hold neighborhood meetings prior to coming to the Planning Commission for public hearing. In those cases, we have certain rules, and these changes to these two different articles involve changes to those rules to kind of enhance our ability to notify neighborhoods about what's going on and make it easier for people to know and be involved in that process. So on April 16th, back in 2025, the Planning Commission voted to recommend those changes, or some changes that we'll go over tonight, to the City Council for adoption. Just a quick, this is kind of a quick version, an overview of what those entail. There's kind of four parts to the noticing for neighborhood meetings. Just before I get into those things, I want to make sure we make one thing clear, just for the public. I think you guys are all aware of this, but just to make sure the public, any public listening, is aware of this. What the planning division and the city's part in these neighborhood meetings is just to provide the list of property owners that need to be notified. We don't process their applications for the Planning Commission until they've done this. So we don't conduct these meetings, but we part of the changes that have been proposed are to kind of create a format, a little bit of regularity to them, so that the results are more digestible when they're included in the packets and reports. Some of the things that we have for rules in the current code are the dates that people can have those meetings, can hold them. They're required not to do them before 6 p.m. on a weeknight, and on Saturday, not before 9 a.m. and not on holidays, and not on the day before or after holidays. The proposed changes that got forwarded to the council are to not hold those also on a council night or on a commission meeting night. That's hard for council members to attend if they're on one of those nights. And then also to clarify that not before a holiday would include the Saturday before a Monday holiday. Then for distancing, or distance for the notice, and what we mean by that is, again, this sort of circle. We'll get back to that in a second. Right now, if you're doing a site plan that is within, that is adjacent to residential, your notice requirement is 500 feet. If that site plan happens to have multifamily components, then it's 1,000 feet. And if it's a zone change, likewise. If it's a zone change that enables multifamily, then it's 1,000 foot radius that we notice the property owners within. The proposed change is to say any zone change, regardless, is a 2,000 foot radius that we notify everyone in. And then the site plans that are adjacent to residential, 1,000 feet. So we kind of up those areas that we notice. And then in timing, it's been kind of a challenge to make sure that mail is something that people still get, but not as frequently as they used to get. So we had an unnaturally long series of conversations about how often people get their mail. I know way more about that than I needed to know, probably, about the habits of mail collection. But in the end, the change that they wanted to forward was that instead of 1 week prior to the meeting, they would need to postmark them 21 calendar days before the meeting. It's a lot of extension, but this is, again, the very beginning of people's projects. So it adds a lot of time that way, but it makes sure that people have a chance to get that mail and see that notice. And then finally, in content, right now, the code asks for contact information and the existing and proposed zoning classifications and to provide a list of the notified neighbors and a roster. We're also asking that that include the date and time because that's oddly missing from the current, people always do it, but it seems like an obvious thing to have in there. And we've proposed some templates for the use of noticing and the roster and for the minutes so that people kind of do a better job of those things so that the notice is more informative, and we'll show you some of those things if you didn't see them in the packet. For one unknown reason, I have a second version of that same slide, one I must have thought was prettier or more informative. It's a powerful slide. I thought we should have it twice.
It's because I had a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Back to the duplicate slide on the top. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, right there. Also not on a council or commission meeting date. Is that all commissions? And it says date. So if you have a like 4 o'clock commission meeting, does that mean they can't have a 7 o'clock meeting?
Good question. I don't think we specified that kind of, I don't think the language has that kind of specificity in it. It's planning commission, not any commission, not the other committees.
I thought it said planning commission in our packet.
It's the planning commission. I probably just in the slide said commission, but so committees like I'm blanking on all the committees, the library committee, any of those committee meetings, that's not a meeting that you couldn't hold. Just planning commission and city council dates. Does that answer your question? Okay. That's probably why I did the duplicate slide. Let's go with that. So just to go over those distances, this is a typical kind of just a depiction of what the distances would mean. Sorry, go back to this. So we would like those to be 21 calendar days in advance, and we want to do the 2,000 feet and 1,000 feet. It does increase the number of notices that we send out. Those are the notices for the neighborhood meetings. Now, the planning commission's notice requirements are set in the code in a different section. We haven't proposed changes to those for public hearings, but that was the planning commission's assumption was that if these kinds of things were acceptable to the council for changes for the neighborhood meetings that the applicants would hold, that we would probably turn back around and try to modify those requirements for the commission's public hearings as well. But that's something to think about. So it's a larger notice area, more notices, but the goal is to get more involvement and make sure people know what's going on. Again, 21 calendar days prior. These are just some depictions of what we did for templates. So you can see this is a template that shows you the area where the thing is going to happen. So if you get this in the mail, you kind of have a better idea of where it's happening. Proposing to do these different things that we might be doing, where it's happening and when it's happening, and then on the rear of that notice to place the site plan, the elevations, et cetera, that you're doing. And we like these vicinity maps. We found those to be very helpful in noticing on our part. And so we want the applicants to do those as well. And then meeting requirements, again, rosters for attendance, so we know who was there. An explanation to be given at the meeting. That was something that's missing in the code. We'd like for them to know as the applicants that you're expected to say something at your meeting. It's not an open house. People aren't showing up for cookies. This is for you to make a presentation and say, this is what we're doing, and make sure people understand that. And then the meeting minutes to have kind of a format there. And that's what I've got for a presentation tonight. Is there, do you have any questions about that? I'm sorry. Yeah, I can go back. Yep. So this is just the minutes format. And then I believe in the packet, we also included the kind of the roster sheet that we like.
Jared, thank you. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This last point, additional meetings will be required if the concept has changed. I'm wondering if we have clarity around how we would know if the concept changed, if there's a clear definition of that.
There's not a clear definition contained in the language. It's more of a putting them on notice that if you go with one concept and you're going to change that concept, we are going to expect you to go again. So it's really more putting them on notice that they might be expected to go back and hold another meeting if their concept changes before they go to the planning commission. That happens more often than you'd think, that they change their minds after they've met with the folks and they got to do it again.
So I just one question about that. If I was building something new or redeveloping something, I would want to take that neighborhood feedback into account, which means that I might want to change elements of my proposal as a result of the feedback that I received. Does that mean then that I have to go back and then I get more feedback and then I have to go back again. It seems like it could be a loop.
Yeah, I guess it depends. It's a good point, and it kind of depends on the nature of the changes. So if you went into, for example, a neighborhood meeting and you went in with a, I'm thinking of a recent example and trying not to be so specific that it's obvious what it is. But if you went in with a certain height for a building and the neighborhood rejected that and said we really would prefer this if this were different, you're not required to make those changes. You can come and propose to the planning commission whatever you want. But if you wanted to take those into account and those were substantive changes, then you'd want to reschedule that meeting and hold it again. And in this case that I'm thinking of, they did that again immediately a couple of weeks later, held another meeting, showed another concept, and that's probably the one that'll come forward. That kind of thing happens. If it's not a substantive change, if it's a change in parking stalls or something like that, we wind up with 28 stalls instead of 31 stalls or something, we might not require another meeting to be held. It would have to be significant.
So this is at the discretion of the city and to determine how much the concept has changed and if we think another neighborhood meeting is required.
Maybe required.
Okay. Yeah, so I might just say additional meetings may be required if the concept has changed rather than will be required. That may clarify our discretion there.
Sure.
Oh, you mean here on the example on the screen, it says where it says will be required and then say additional meetings may be required. Okay.
And we do say in the text, to Councilman Meekum's point, in the text, we do say will be required if the first meeting is held as an information. And I wasn't as specific in the slide, but for the sake of the question, because it's a good one, what it says currently in the red line is a second neighborhood meeting will be required if the first meeting is held as an information gathering meeting to obtain input from surrounding property owners. That's one part, and that happens. So we just wanted to make it clear, hey, if you just held this to kind of get a read on the neighborhood, that doesn't count as your neighborhood meeting for prior to the planning commission. You got to come back with your real concept. The second part of that is, and or a proposed concept plan is not provided for review, or the concept plan changes after the meeting is held. So the might be a change that we could make if that's preferable.
Yeah, because I saw that happen, right? That happened on the North Village District, the 1600 North November neighborhood meeting, which was a Zoom meeting. And they came back with another concept completely different. So, yeah. And does will, so will doesn't mean you have to, shall means you have to, right? Legalese. So will is okay, or do you want may? What do you want in there?
Well, legally, I appreciate the thought and the idea that goes behind this, but the term may is a little bit problematic legally because it leaves people in doubt as to whether they're actually required to or not required to. So I think probably have to be more definitive. You could say, you know, you will have it if these conditions exist, or you're not required to have it if these other conditions exist. But it probably needs to be definitive one way or the other.
And you prefer will? I mean, will gives the flexibility versus shall. You're saying those two are the choices because you don't want may.
Yeah, if you want them to have it, you definitively want them to have it, then I would use a shall.
It does go on to say, this isn't language that we changed, but just if it helps. It does go on from that last statement to say this requirement shall not apply to minor amendments to existing sites. So if it's an existing deal and we're making only minor changes, that's where where we're using discretion, but
I'm comfortable. I just want to avoid the doom loop.
Yeah, so maybe I could ask Jared a question if that's all right. So Jared, you're saying this draft says that if only minor changes are made to the proposed zoning change or concept plan, that they don't have to come back again. Okay.
Our read of it currently is that minor changes don't have to go back.
Yeah, so that maybe allows the discretion that Councilmember Meekum is looking for then.
We are still in the position of determining how minor is minor. We don't have a lot of rules about that, but you know, we have a lot of experience in determining what's minor. But
Yeah, I do have a comment, Mayor. Mayor, can I make a comment? So one thing that and I don't know if you guys even discussed this or not, but one thing I wonder why we don't have on there, and maybe I would like to say, is like we have where was it? The name of the presenter. Which is fine, but I would almost like to have the people actually connected to the property, the landowner. Who's the landowner? Everybody always asks me that, or who's the developer? Can we connect those people to their projects and not just have Washburn on there
To the
every time?
neighborhood
or
meeting
Julie?
here.
Yeah, our
We
regular.
we don't right now. You're right. We don't. Right now, that's a kind of a,
Because then you Google search, it just makes it easier the whole way to find,
So you're saying that
Right.
the landowner doesn't necessarily have to be there, but to have the landowner's name on this is so-and-so's property and this is the presenter?
yeah, and this is the developer, because typically who we have is the person that they hire to present the case. Right?
Yeah.
And so if you search, these people in our city, you'll find Julie Smith's name comes up all the time, right? Or Paul Washburn or whoever. And I kind of wish we go away from that and start actually putting the parties that are involved in the application process and in the neighborhood meeting on our literature.
we could include that in the notice as well. Yeah. These are just templates. So we can have the template say, if that's the direction.
Is there a downside to doing that? I don't know. Is there?
I don't think it's a downside. Not that I can.
It could be something like Julie Smith representing whoever, and then.
But require the landowner and the developer.
We could do that. Absolutely.
All right, any other questions or comments, council? All right, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to these proposed amendments? Well, I see lots of heads shaking, so no. So I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the council.
Can I ask one more thing? I'm sorry. I was going to ask Jared, will you please say what we talked about in our work meeting about noticing now that our community is becoming, we have more renters and renters are voters and they should have a say in developments that are happening around them. Right now, we send the notifications to the property owners.
Right.
And so we're trying to work out how to notify our residents along with our property owners who, in the case of a renter, oftentimes, live out of state or whatever. So would you just address that?
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm happy to. So the current, as Councilwoman Millett said, currently we pull the records when we provide this list of property owners that need to be notified. We pull that from county property tax records, and those ownership records are sometimes different from who's living in the property. Same goes for commercial properties. Lots of tenants in commercial properties as opposed to the ownership. The state code requirement is that we notify property owners, and so that's why the code reads this way. It's not a competing goal, but it's alternative to our goal of involving the community if those owners are far away from here and not actually participating in things that are going on. To be able to notify them all would be to send a notice to the property itself as well as to the property ownership. There are some struggles. There will be some obstacles in figuring out how to do that. I think we can figure out a way to do it. The Planning Commission talked about those kinds of issues. It comes up with other questions with apartment buildings as well too. Do you do door hangers on everybody's door? How do you do that? There's other ways that we can involve the community as well, but we think we can find a way to make it manageable to notice not just property owners, but property residents as well. We probably need a couple of months to figure that out to make it manageable. Collating those different lists will be a little challenging unless we just want to double up everybody's notices. That gets confusing. So we're trying to find a way to do that. But the Planning Commission didn't want to necessarily hold up this process back in 2025. They didn't want to hold up these changes on behalf of figuring out how to do that other part. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I can appreciate that because we don't want to add any additional expense either to these applicants. We want to help them make this process easy for them too. So thank you for, I just want to make that point because that has come up a lot, frankly, you know. So I think everyone in the city, whatever we can do to get more information out there, if we can figure that out, that'd be great. Thank
I
you.
appreciate the question. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Councilmember Gale.
Can you just estimate what sort of cost increases do you think this might incur for applicants?
It's hard to do, to know exactly because every project is different. But basically we're basically proposing to double the number of people that get a notice from 500 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 2,000. What that'll mean in that radius is probably double. Where we were doing 200 people getting notices, it'll probably be 4. When we double, if we make the changes that we're just talking about to include not just ownership but residents, we might add another 30% to that that need different notices. But we won't really know until we get into it. We regularly, just as a kind of a general rule, when we stuff notices, and we're stuffing them in our office for all of these planning commission and city council public hearings, a typical, there isn't really a typical application, but 165 notices is not out of the ordinary. 300 is not out of the ordinary. A big one is 400 to 500. A gigantic one is 800 notices. I've stuffed 1,000 notices before, not here, but in another life. I've never had to make anyone stuff 1,000 notices.
So could you, for those of us that aren't familiar with stuffing notices and how many would go out in this, in this new radius that we're talking here, what sort of property like numbers increase? Is this like 500 more properties, 400 more properties, 1,000 more properties?
It's probably a couple hundred more.
So the scale of this could be a range from, do you have any like?
I'd say the range is it depends a lot, because a condominium project, for example, adds a whole lot of notices in a small area. But in a typical single family neighborhood, it's a typical single family neighborhood getting a zone change request. We might see 180 to 210 notices. This might make it 320, somewhere on that order.
Can I just ask, Jared, can you go back to the slide with the radiuses on? Yeah. There are numbers associated with that. Can you explain what those are?
I can, if I can remember. This is the number of notices, for example, in this particular deal for this radius. I just don't remember what the radius was that we had them do in the diagram. I think this might have been the 500, but this doesn't really match the 1,000 to me, or the 2,000. I'm not sure.
It's going to be, we're up here doing math with our favorite 3.14159 number. And so that's going to be, it's not going to be double. It's going to be much larger.
It's going to be much larger.
It's going to because you're picking up the radius, that radius around.
Sure.
Well, it does matter. I mean, assuming you have all residential properties, it really depends on where the project is happening, because, if you're over by State Street, you're not going to have a whole lot of houses.
Right. The size of the properties matter. They're come to be big, huge, larger tracts, right? That affect that.
Yeah. Pretty hard to know what that's going to be.
It is. So I apologize, Jen. It's hard to know for sure, and this does change. And I don't know for sure if this was, at one point we were talking about 3,000 feet as well, and I don't know if this is a depiction of the 3,000.
But this is like 10 times basically between the 106 to 1173, more than 10 times. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot.
It is significant.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, council? All right. I've closed the public hearing and bring it back to you for discussion.
Can I make a comment? I love the idea of more transparency, and I love the idea of helping our residents better understand what's going on in the community around them. I also feel like until I have a better understanding of what sort of additional cost burden this is going to place upon the people trying to help grow our city and develop it in positive ways, I don't think I'm quite ready to vote on it yet until I have more information. It's obviously this balancing act of how do we value transparency versus making things so administratively difficult that it's prohibitive. So I personally am not ready to vote on this.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, from the perspective would be, you're looking at a $20 million project and you're adding $500 in mailing costs. So or even 1,000 or even 2,000 on a multi-million, I mean, even the homes, Canyon Park, I don't know. I've just been on the other side where I haven't gotten notices on a huge thing going on in my neighborhood. And it's frustrating because we want to be engaged in our community, but if we aren't notified or told, I mean, if there's a law that really does no good, 500 feet, that one was ridiculous. That really didn't notify anybody, and even the 1,000 feet, we were finding that wasn't notifying everyone. So maybe I'm just saying, I'm kind of putting in perspective of the cost of the project.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with the theory of what we're trying to do here. I just need more information before I can make an educated decision about it.
So how are you going to get more information, I guess, is the question, because you're going to have to get, it depends on where the project is in the city. Everyone is going to change. Every notification circle. Oh, Gary has an idea.
Well, sorry, I don't have the microphone. I'll speak loud.
There's one coming.
You're going to have to get one to get on the.
One thing we can do, we've done noticing for projects. We know what the cost of that project was for the council. We could go in and not send out new notices, but do the new standard and see how many addresses we'd have. And we can do that, fairly easily on several projects and bring back to you and say, okay, on this project, we spent X, and now with the new ordinance, it would be Y.
I think that would be really helpful. And I think to your point, the scale, I just have no idea. Is this $500? Is this $500? Is this $1,000, $2,000 or $10 million? I have no idea. So,
Well, and I'm just looking at the houses, just the houses behind me, 6 new homes. They're over $1 million each. So you've got it's probably going to be close to $9 million project. Then let's find out what the increased cost of the post, maybe use that as an example. Those most recent ones, I'm fine with that. That might be a good way to get the data. Because then you say what percentage, is that point, is it 1/10 of 1%, which is minuscule? We've been told that.
We can take some projects and then, like Gary said, we can have that ready for the next meeting. No problem. Great idea.
Councilmember Meekum.
Oh, I will also appreciate that. I am a huge supporter of increasing the radius. I'm a supporter of increasing the timeline. I think we do have real problems with people not getting adequate notice. Just the geometric growth as we can, in terms of expectations around notices, I would like the same information. I think Gary's suggestion is great.
We'll do that. No problem.
Right, anybody else? Right, I'm going to I'll weigh in here that I really like expanding that radius. I think involving the community and having them be notified of what's happening. And I think that's that's what everybody thinks up here as well. But I'm for me to move forward on this ordinance, I don't need to have that additional data because I think we need to do it. But if the council wants to wait and get that information, if it would make other council members feel comfortable with that, that's fine with me as well. So I'm okay either way.
Yeah, I don't need any more information. I don't know if it's going to benefit that much, but that's, I've been looking at this a lot longer too, and had experience. So I don't know, do you want a motion so we can vote, or how do you want to?
Yeah, we'd like to, a motion would be great.
Okay.
Motion of some sort.
I move to approve by ordinance, amending Articles 2214-20I and 2215G, modifying requirements for the conduct of neighborhood meetings in advance of applications to the Planning Commission.
Right, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on that. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with you, Councilmember Kilpack.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
nay.
Aye.
Right, I think motion carries 5-2 on that. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is amending Appendix A. It's another public hearing, an ordinance amending Appendix A of the Orem City Code by including Standard Land Use Code 6231 Beauty and Barber Shops and Standard Land Use Code 6232 Tattoo and Body Piercing as permitted uses in the M2 manufacturing zone. So I'll turn the time back over to you, Mr. Hall.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is a request, as you said, to amend Appendix A. And I'm going to give you the nickel tour of the situation. So the applicant has a tattoo shop and barber shop, and he has a warehouse where he keeps equipment and stores merchandise in the M2 zone. And he would like to add 3 stations, 2 for hair and 1 for tattoo and body piercing, at his location, the M2 zone. Those two land use codes, 6231 and 6232, are not included in Appendix A for M2 zoning. So his request is simply to include those so that he can make that change at his location. The M2 zone, as you can see here in this slide, is primarily west of I-15. It's intended to provide areas for heavy industrial uses, and it allows a variety of manufacturing uses, most of them in that standard land use codes that we have. The M2 zone is a zone where he owns these buildings or owns a building. He wants to add those codes because he wants to function this way. But something that we wanted to make clear to the Planning Commission too is that one of the concerns at the public hearing was, will this open up if we were to make this change? Would this mean that all of our warehousing and all of our manufacturing buildings would be taken over by cheaper uses like tattooing or by barbershops, et cetera? And the answer is probably not, because there are expensive considerations to take into account. Even if this is changed, you still have to make changes to meet fire and building codes, and those are usually significant. There's a long ways between the occupancies for warehousing and having people in beauty and barbershop situations in retail environments. So it's a fairly specific thing. The applicant feels like he can capture a group of people that are kind of captive down in that area that might want to get their haircut or whatever on their lunch breaks or right after work or something like that. So he has an interest in doing that, and he already has the building. That's not going to be the case for many people. The Planning Commission did vote unanimously after some discussion on May 6th to forward this with a recommendation of approval as an accessory. Just as a note too, tattooing is only allowed as an accessory to beauty and barbershops. You have to account for less than 15% of the total revenue of the shop. That's what we were
So
supposed
how do you know that?
It's in the code. It's in the SLU.
Oh, it would have, oh, you're not saying that right now it accounts, but
We don't know that. We're supposed to, I assume, collect data on that once in a while and know that they're still not accounting for that.
oh,
It's an age-old question.
okay, but that's in our code is what you're saying.
It's in our code.
Oh, I thought you said he would, okay.
This is the slide where I was supposed to be telling you about the differences between the occupancies. But you understand that change is quite significant on the building side. Sorry, I wanted to just give you one more piece of information about that. So for this change, if that change were made, again, it could be applied to any M2 zone. The M2 zone is mostly west of I-15 right now, but there's nothing that keeps anyone from asking for an M2 zoning in any part of the city. It's not restricted like the PD zones that are only in certain geographic areas or such. So that's something to be aware of. Any questions? I'm sorry about the ramble on that.
Council, you have any questions? Councilmember Lamson.
Did we at one point in time have a limit of the number of tattoo parlors that could be in Orem?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry. We might have. There are certain uses that we only allow certain numbers of per capita. I don't think tattoo has had that.
No, I don't think tattoo parlors are one of those uses.
Okay. I know they're not now. I don't know if they ever were.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Right, is the applicant here? All right. Oh, do you have a question? Okay, Councilmember Millet.
Oh, I don't know. It was going to be for the applicant. Do they want, do they have to have the tattoo connection, or can we just approve the barber shop and they'd be okay with that?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Did they have those conversations in planning commission?
Not about one versus the other, no.
I'm just hesitant to expand. We already have tattooing in
his current
C2 and
business is that.
C3. So, okay.
His current business is both, and so he just wanted to be able to duplicate it down there.
Right. Councilman, do you have a question?
I don't have a question, but I was at that meeting when the applicant was there. I don't want to speak on behalf of the applicant, but as I recall, the tattooing was just very, very adjacent to the barber shop activities. It was small tattoos and kind of cosmetic tattoos. And so they felt like they were comfortable with this language because they felt like this was a small part of their business model.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? The applicant's not here. I have mixed feelings about that. Because I like having the applicant here, but here we are. And so I guess we'll just go forward and open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this this item on the agenda, this ordinance amendment? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Okay, council, what would you like to do? Okay, council.
Well, okay. So I want to give him the barbershop, but I don't want to do the tattoo. So what do we do? What do I do? He's not here to talk about that then. So
He's not. His request is for both. I don't know if, I mean, you can do that.
I just,
It's,
Can we continue it until the applicant is here? Can we continue it to the next meeting, invite him to attend and he can answer the question? Council, would that be beneficial to have the applicant here, or do you feel comfortable moving forward? Okay, are we, okay. Okay, it looks like we comfortable. I'm seeing comfortable moving forward.
There's one question for Jared. Jared, can you remind us what the planning commission vote on this was?
planning commission vote was, and I appreciate that. Thank you. The planning commission vote was 7-0 to recommend approval.
Thank you.
All right. I'm comfortable with both, personally, but I'm trying to make a habit of not making a motion as the one conducting the meeting. But just so you council members, as you're contemplating that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I make a motion to approve by ordinance amending Appendix A of the Orem City Code by including standard land use number, get my glasses, 6231 beauty and barbershops, and standard land use code is 6232 tattoo and body piercing as permitted uses in the M2 manufacturing zone.
Right, thank you. A motion. Is there a second?
Can I ask a
I hear-
question
okay.
before we vote?
Yes.
Can you go back to the slide that shows the M2 zone? And that's basically that gray area.
Darker gray.
Okay. On the,
That's a great question. I apologize. This was Becca's project. I don't know the location. I think it's north end. Yeah, that there's some in this north area, there's some mix of public facilities and M2, but
do you know what that is, Brent?
I would guess that public facilities would be storm drain. What do you think, Chris?
That's.
Oh, that's the Public Works building. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it is.
Is that? We need our 12th
Oh,
Street on
Mr.
there.
Shirky's like, duh, council. Well, don't you know the Public Works building when you see it? It's okay.
We always forget about you people down there. So
that's a big
that
building.
beautiful building.
There's a strong desire in Public Works for tattoos. So
Yes.
Sorry, the public facilities up within the PD 36 though is a regional storm drain detention basin.
So, all right.
okay. Thank you, and sorry to interrupt.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a motion to approve the amendment as presented this evening? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Mika. Any further discussion? Okay, I will vote aye.
Aye.
No, I'm going to vote nay because I'm concerned that we're expanding tattoos. We already have them in C2 and C3, and I don't know why we want to put them in RM2.
Okay.
So nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay, I share similar concerns.
Aye.
Right, thank you. Motion carries 5-2. Next item on the agenda is public hearing and ordinance amending section 22-11-17B of the Orem City Code, including standard land use codes 7424 recreation centers general as a permitted use in the PD5 zone. So we'll turn the time over to you again, Mr. Hall.
thank you. And if you noticed, in addition to having that duplicate slide, I also put these all in the wrong order tonight too. So I'm doing great. This is a good opportunity to explain the difference here. This particular text amendment is a little bit different, although it's also just altering. All it's a request to do is to alter the list of approvable uses, the list of permitted uses. In normal zones, you get to do that by just altering Appendix A, our standard land use list, the giant monstrosity of a list of uses. In the case of this PD zone, it's a part of that zoning, and so it's an article within that PD zones. So that's why the difference there, in case anybody noticed and was concerned about that, that's why the difference. 7424 is recreation centers general. This is the result of Fun City coming in and wanting to be part of a takeover the Joanne's building that was in this location. They're more of a, they came in and said, well, we're like a gymnasium and with an arcade and party rooms and all those kind of things as more general recreation. They were willing to ask for the amendment, and so we've been bringing them forward with this. The Planning Commission did vote unanimously at the same meeting on May 6th to recommend approval of this request to add this to it. The most recent change was to add gymnasiums and things in that same category, that same list of 7,400 amusements and sports types facilities. It does, as was mentioned by the mayor, PD5 runs up along University Parkway. There's a variety of different uses in there, and the Planning Commission felt like it met the purposes of this zone. It didn't fall outside of the purposes. It didn't change the architecture, the landscaping, the parking needs. It just added one more use and brought a use in that was available. These are all examples of how the appendix works. This is, again, this is amending this section to add general recreation. The most recent ones for health spas and gymnasiums and athletic clubs that just didn't quite fit. It doesn't, again, change any of the architecture requirements, the parking or landscaping. It's just that use request, and that's all. Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval, and if I can answer any questions for you if you have any.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? All right, this is, well, I'm assuming, since I know everybody in the audience, I don't think either one of you are the applicant for Fun City. So our applicant is not here this evening again. So I will go ahead and open up the public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to speak to the proposed amendment to add recreation centers to the PD5 zone, you're welcome to come forward. Seeing nobody wanting to do that, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for discussion. So council, how do you feel about recreation centers as a permitted use in the PD5 zone? Go ahead, council.
Yeah, I'm just maybe just sharing a couple of things that came out of the Planning Commission hearing on this where the applicant was here. Again, this is an experiential recreational environment with games and trampolines and ball pits and things. Was the idea. One of my questions initially on this was, how do the neighbors, the commercial neighbors, feel about that? And we heard in that Planning Commission hearing that there's a lot of enthusiasm in that particular commercial district because they feel like it will bring a lot of families in and a lot of family traffic, and that would be good, a good redevelopment opportunity in that part of our commercial zone. I would also say that, one of the opportunities Orem has going forward is as we think about our economic strategy to have a lot of experiential retail or experiential businesses that I think this fits in, and so I'm supportive of this amendment.
Right, thank you, Councilmember Meekum. Any other comments? Councilmember Millet.
So I just have a question. And this is kind of a little more ideological or whatever moving forward. So we have a lot of PD zones and they're set, and we're starting to see some revitalization and changes in some of these, at least I have the last few years. So is this the best way to move forward with this, and not necessarily this project, but I mean, changes to PD zones? Should we have our Planning Commission look into differing zones, different ways to make those changes and encourage development of specific, as Councilmember Meekum said,
That's a great question.
businesses?
It's a great question. It is sort of a philosophical one. If we're going forward different ways, PD zones might not be the way to do it because they become limiting, and then as retail changes, you've got to adjust the entire zone. The Planning Commission, in talking about the general plan, has been talking recently about adjusting our commercial zones, looking at more specialized zones, encouraging trying to use the zoning to encourage rather than just to differentiate between uses. So it's been on their minds, yeah. And then it's one of the topics we've been talking about. Might that be a better way forward than planned development zones?
Okay, because I'm really seeing like the C3 zone, right? It was to preserve to have a buffer. It was supposed to be a buffer from residents C3 to C2. It's not that anymore because we've added tattoo parlors in there. We've added things the last few years. So anyway, just thank you. I appreciate that thought. Maybe we can have that conversation.
It's a great thought. Thank you.
Mayor and council, we're probably due to have, kind of a joint meeting between the planning commission and council at, some future work session. So we could make note to make this, one of the discussion points as we do that again here in the next months.
Right, yeah, that'd be good. That'd be something I look forward to. Any other comments, council? Okay, I would look for some sort of action on this.
Mayor, I move to approve by ordinance amending section 22-11-17B of the Orem City Code by including standard land use number 7424 recreation centers general as a permitted use in the PD5 zone.
I'll second that.
Right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, before we vote, I just want to say that I agree with what Councilmember Meekum said. I think this will help revitalize that shopping center and will bring fun to the area. So maybe not for people my age, get stuck in a ball pit, but here we are. We'll go ahead and if there's no further discussion, we'll start with Councilmember Meekum to vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Right, next item on the agenda is another public hearing. It's an ordinance, fiscal 2025, 2026 budget amendments. So we'll turn the time over to Brandon Nelson, our Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, so first up on our budget amendments, this is the last one of the fiscal year, of course, to try to get those items into our budget so that we don't have any missteps in that regard. Just going down the list through our notes. So note the items with a note of 1 are again grants and donations primarily. And as you scroll through, those various grants and donations, most of them, are in relation to emergency preparedness, in-park cameras, equipment for the Internet Crimes Against Children, those kind of grants. We also have some unique one you'll see kind of right in the middle under the Capital Improvement Project Fund, Railroad Crossing Safety grant that we just barely received, a grant from MAG for the North Union Canal Trail Master Plan to study that. Obviously, the Gold Star, strangely enough, we still continue to receive donations for the Gold Star Memorial, which is great. And then Orem Fest, there's some donations in there related to Orem Fest. You'll see more actually come our next one and next year as kind of a lag there as we do those. And then those are the majority of the grant and donation items. Are there any questions about those in particular that you see that maybe you had a question about?
Council, any questions? Right.
Okay, then item number 2, which you'll see right here near the top, fees, ambulance services. So our ambulance revenues have been quite good. And so as part of that, there's actually, you'll find this hard to believe, but our collection company costs also go up with those higher revenues, as we don't do that ourselves. We hire a third party to do that. So there are also, not only are there the normal collection costs, but we've had additional collection costs related to a third party collection agency when the Gold Cross, who is our collection agent, doesn't collect, then they turn it over to that third party collection agency and they try to collect on it as well. So there's some costs there. And then we actually have to pay the state Medicaid fees in relation to any Medicaid billings that we have. So all of those fees also are part of why we're making this amendment, so that we can make sure that we're covering those costs in relation to those additional ambulance revenues. Any particular question about that particular item? Great. Item number 3, right below that, police services for those fees. We came to you in our last budget amendment discussing UVU and the fees that they have been paying to our police in covering overtime shifts. And this kind of brings that to current as far as what billings that we have received and from them. And obviously almost all of that covers overtime costs that are being spent within our police department. Any questions about that particular one? Okay. Item number 4, which you can see just a little bit lower on there within the general fund, that says lease purchase financing proceeds. That is recording the lease financing arrangement that we have made with JP Morgan Chase in relation to our new fire engine, which I believe received documents to have that funded and paid for. So that should happen here tomorrow or Thursday at the latest to be able to finalize getting that paid. I believe the engine is up in Salt Lake and then could be delivered once that payment is made. So this is just finalizing that transaction within our budget. Item number 5, you see on there, at the bottom of the general fund section, Fund 63 safety issues. That particular Fund 63 is our self-insurance fund. It is contributing dollars for the purchase of safety barricades for events. So this is paying for those, which unfortunately more and more of a need in relation to having barricades as we, particularly for Orem Fest, but and many of our other events as well. Item number 6 in the B&C Road Special Revenue Fund. We are beginning the final phase of our street lighting conversion from Rocky Mountain Power to our own street lightings. And this is using the appropriated surplus funds within that special revenue fund to fund that final phase. A little further down in number 7 within our water fund, you can see we have been having some money that falls to our surplus account within the water fund, and we are now appropriating those reserves for spring water line improvements that will be beginning here shortly. So it's using those funds to fund that project. Right below that, item number 8, same thing. They have some surplus funds in the stormwater fund, and they're intending to do a variety of different stormwater improvements in relation to some of those maybe the canal related. Some of those are just other related stormwater improvements that need to happen. And so it's appropriating those surplus funds for those projects. Item number 9, related to the solid waste fund. You'll recall this last budget year, we did not raise our garbage rates. So we did that with some possibility that the amount of revenues would not necessarily cover the amount of the solid waste contract. This particular budget amendment then unfortunately has come to the realization that that solid waste contract will be a little bit short in covering that contract. So with full anticipation of using reserves for that, we're now proposing this budget amendment to cover those contract costs. Item number 10, our purchasing and warehouse down at the Public Works facility. We have been kind of saving some money in that fund to purchase a new van for our warehouse staff to be able to deliver product to the various places throughout the city. The time has come to replace that van, and so this budget amendment appropriates those savings that have been in our surplus to purchase that van. Item number 11, related to the Senior Citizens Fund. There are basically three particular items. The first one you see is that miscellaneous revenue tours. So we have additional revenue within that. There's also an additional expense. So this raises the revenue to cover that additional expense for those tours. The 4 items following that, the donations, membership dues, meals, and appropriating surplus from operations, all of those changes are to cover the meals program that is there. So we, had a variety of sources to be able to cover those costs for that meals program, and those 4 items were the ones that we were able to do that with. And then the last item, appropriating that surplus, that's misnamed the carryover of capital projects, but we are appropriating surplus from the surplus to buy a floor scrubber that is specific to the senior center. And so that unit will, once purchased, will stay down there at the city center and replacing I don't even think they have one currently. So that will be a good benefit for them down there. And then I think number 12 is the last one. And over at Library Hall, they have various rentals throughout the year, and those rentals have exceeded their current budget. And as well as when various artists come and sell product, those sales go through our system. And so we're recording that revenue that we've received. A portion of those revenues go back to those artists. And so we're increasing on the expenditure side, we're also increasing that where those amounts that are sent back to the artists are spent, as well as increasing employee development, some employee development expenditure account, budget accounts, as well as some equipment to purchase for Library Hall as well. So that's everything I have, unless you want to talk about the $50 item that I didn't put a note on.
Does anyone want to talk about the $50 item? He did not put it on.
Well, now that he mentioned it.
Yeah.
I know, you drew our attention.
Yeah, so we just had some trustee fees that came in $50 higher than what we had budgeted. So we had to cover that cost. So I don't like accounts being overspent, so I threw it in there.
This is a cleansing, a confession
It
just happened,
yes.
council.
Yes.
So now we feel, okay, you feel better?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good, I'm glad. We want to help you feel good. Okay,
That shows the detail, the brand.
exactly.
Thank you, yes.
Feels eagle eyed.
Thank you for being a good sport. Council, any other questions on this? Right, we do have a question. Councilmember Meekum, I'm sorry.
So this is the end of our fiscal year, and a lot of these items are just reconciling things, cleaning things up to make sure that we've done what we need to do by the end of the fiscal year.
Correct.
Could you just provide us with a little bit of a higher level? How did we do on our budget this year? And how well did we do at estimating our costs and revenues, and where are we coming in at the end of the year?
Honestly, I'm not there because, to be honest, a lot of on the expenditure side, we're meeting those. The question more becomes on the revenue side, because I don't have all of those. A lot of the revenues, particularly sales tax, we don't have those yet. There's a 2-month lag in sales tax. There's a 1-month lag in property tax. There's a 1-month lag, a 1 and 2-month lag in franchise taxes. So from the revenue side of the house, I don't have the answer. It all is looking relatively positive, like we're going to be fine hitting budget for that, if not slightly exceeding it. But from the expenditure side of the house, we've been able to keep those things inside of what was budgeted. I don't know if that totally answers your question, Councilmember Meekum.
The half answer you gave was great.
Unfortunately, until we start working on it through our audit, basically in late August and September, that's kind of the answer you're going to generally get.
Question, can I ask this? And this might be BJ. I'm not sure if you need to answer this one or Brandon, if you know. So I'm very interested in the item 1, Internet Crimes Against Children grant. I attended that event at Library Hall. And I guess my question is, I want to talk about that event, but my question is that a set grant? Are we getting that every year? Is that going to increase, decrease? What?
It's not set, but we do pretty much have gotten it every year. I don't know, for at least the last decade.
So this was incredible. It was disturbing, right? So your wonderful police officers, Cameron, right? She, I think it was her that did the presentation, and they showed the apps that as parents, you should never allow on your children's phone. And they said at the beginning of the meeting, a couple of us that do this online solicitation stuff, pretend to be juveniles online. We're going to do that right now when the meeting starts. And then we're going to tell you what we find. So very disturbing, contact with, and then they'd come on and say, well, we have a man in Murray that thinks I'm a 13-year-old boy and he's ready to come pick me up down here in Orem. So I guess I appreciate what they do. It's got to be so hard and disturbing to be in that world. And I guess my point is, what do we need to do, or what can we do to make sure that you get that grant, that you get that funding? Who does that come through? How do we keep that program running?
Is this on? It's a state grant. It has historically gone down year over year by sometimes a few hundred, sometimes a few thousand. And so it's supplemented by our existing budget. And so that mainly goes for software and training for those officers, and sometimes computer hardware. So what the grant doesn't cover, we make up with our own budget.
Okay, so if we're ever asked,
I think when we first started, it was around $25,000, and and then it's been gradually being whittled away down to where that $16,000.
And do we know why? Is there?
I think there's just more people asking for it, more agencies across the state that are receiving funds for that. So it's not a neglect on our part, or we're not doing our part to meet any sort of metric. I just think there's more people utilizing the pot of money across the state.
And so maybe we need to put that out there to our legislators, fund this grant at a higher level.
That would not be a bad idea.
So, okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you, Councilmember Millet. Council, any other questions? Okay, this is a public hearing. I will go ahead and open it up. Is there anyone who would like to come and speak to the budget amendments? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the City Council for discussion and a motion. You've left us speechless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I move to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget of the Special Service Lighting District. No, sorry, wrong one.
Not
Let me
that
get back up. Yeah, that's what happens.
It's on the, it's right here. It's kind of,
It's hiding.
it's this little combination right there.
That's why. That's why it's why.
Here, this is just. It's right here.
I move to approve amending the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget as presented in Exhibit A.
Right, we have a motion. Thank you. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilmember Meekum. Okay, we have a, go ahead and vote. Any further discussion? Okay, Councilmember Millet, how do you vote?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, we have city manager items. Item number 8.
Just real quick, we'll come back at a future council meeting with more details about the success we achieved with the Orem Fest event. But just to give you, just to whet your appetite a little bit, we did have 82,000 people just come into our city center park on the final 3 days. That's actually our second most that we've had since we started counting, but in part that's by design because we spread out events more across the week and across multiple parks and locations. So we're continuing to be highly successful in that regard. Thank you so much for your support. Love seeing you on the tiller truck and events coming up. Then, of course, we've got the first of what will be a variety of police picnics in the park. And those are all on your calendar. We are kind of making those more robust with more interactions and things to do at those events. And then, of course, we have the Freedom Festival events coming up. And in particular, in Orem will be the Colonial Heritage Festival at Sierra Park starting this coming weekend. So, of course, all of these wonderful events are just amazing, and we're getting more and more interest in it. And I also just need a shout out to staff and our public safety and parks in particular, who really put a ton of effort into making sure that these are not only fun and exciting and attractive, but also ultimately safe, and that everyone feels safe attending them. So thank you.
Right, thank you. And thank you to all for your participation in Orem Fest. It was really fun. It was fun to ride on the fire truck and together, and it was fun. We did a All Things Orem booth at the park where people could come and visit with elected officials. And it was a good first year. I found out that a lot of people are drawn by swag. And we talked to a lot of people who don't live in Orem anymore, but were Orem based and came and spoke about how much they love Orem. They say, I don't live in Orem now, but I grew up here and I love it, and very positive that way. So I hope that's something that we can continue in coming years. All right, next item on the agenda is we need a motion to adjourn as the city council and reconvene as the Orem Redevelopment Agency.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Remind me, do we have to do roll call on adjournments and reconvenings? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the consent items, and we are now Redevelopment Agency. We have one consent item, approval of meeting minutes. Entertain a motion for that.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for May 12th, 2026 for the RDA consent items.
Right, thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Right, thank you. How do you vote, council member? You're not a council member in the RDA, but I can't remember what you're called, so I'll call you council member. Like member or anyway.
I think it's board member.
Board member Lamson, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
All right.
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries. We have a scheduled item number 11 on our agenda sheet, public hearing. It's a resolution approving the redevelopment agency of the city of Orem fiscal year 26-27 budget. We'll turn the time over to Brandon Nelson again.
Thank you, Mayor. This is basically a repeat of our presentation from back on May 12th. As we go through it, obviously this time we will have a public hearing element for that and then final approval. But just to revisit the redevelopment agency. So as mentioned then, the only current active redevelopment agency area is the University Place CDA, which is down, all that stuff going on down by University Place. We do have money in the old RDAs that is gradually being spent on various different infrastructure and different projects that come up in studies and whatever else that might occur within those project areas. But as far as current active things going on, University Place is the one. And, you can see the RDA revenues across the top. Again, those are all primarily the University Place CDA. And then as you see the expenditures in the bottom section, you can see where, basically we refund 90% of the growth in property tax revenue back to Woodbury, who uses that to pay off the debt associated with putting in the infrastructure in all of those areas that they've put improvements in. And then the city keeps 5% as an administrative fee and maintains the other 5% within this RDA fund for future infrastructure needs that may come up, where we can use those funds to make whatever infrastructure improvements need to be made. And I think, are there any questions about the RDA?
Okay. Board, do you have any questions? Okay. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing to regarding the resolution approving the RDA redevelopment agency of the city of Orem fiscal year 26-27 budget. Is there anyone who would like to speak to that this evening? Right. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. What would you like to do, board?
Mayor, I move to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget of the redevelopment agency of the city of Orem as presented in Exhibit A.
Right, thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Kilpack. All right, we'll go ahead and vote. Any further discussion? Okay, Board Member Gale.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Right, motion carries. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn from the redevelopment agency and reconvene as the Orem Special Service Lighting District.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
It was second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we have adjourned as the redevelopment agency and we have reconvened as the Orem Special Service Lighting District. Okay, we have a consent item, approval of the meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for May 12th, 2026 of the SSLD on consent items agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. A second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and.
Aye.
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 Right, motion carries. We have a scheduled item. Public hearing or resolution approving the Special Service Lighting District of the City of Orem fiscal year 26-27 budget. We'll turn it back over to Brandon Nelson.
Thank you again, Mayor. So the Special Service Lighting District of Orem is technically a separate entity, has its own tax ID, so that's why it has its own budget. As part of the street lighting, each utility bill has a street lighting fee associated with it. Those fees are accumulated within the street lighting fund. And you can see that top line on the revenues shows you the revenue associated with the collection of that street lighting fee from year to year. And then the various other smaller revenues that occur. You'll notice an appropriation of surplus in the current proposal, and that is the kind of the last thing to finish off the final phases of the street lighting changes that we had mentioned with Rocky Mountain. And then associated with that, you can, the regular operational budget at the top, you can see the specific costs related to the holiday lighting during Christmas season, as well as just give you an idea how much the power costs related to running all the streetlights. And there was a energy savings lease that we entered into a number of years ago where we replaced all of the incandescent lights with LED lighting. And so we're continuing this fund continues to contribute to our debt service fund that actually pays that lease payment. And so we have a fee for that. And I think there's.
So what's power? What is that power line?
That's the actual cost of the power.
Okay.
From Rocky Mountain.
From Rocky Mountain. Okay, thank you.
So how much longer do we have on that energy savings lease?
Chris asks me every year, is that done yet? And I want to say it's 8 years. 5 years.
2031.
Quite close, but.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And let's see, I think the last item is this year's proposing on the rates. The rate from, for all neighborhood, all residences goes from 328 to 336 per month. And for all businesses, that same amount. And just as a note, businesses pay their annual street lighting all in one payment upon their business license renewal, just to make you aware of that. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing regarding the budget for the Special Service Lighting District. Is there anyone who'd like to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the board and for further action.
Mayor, I move to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget of the Special Service Lighting District of the City of Orem as presented in Exhibit A.
I second that.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Appreciate it. Any further discussion? All right, did we start with you last? Okay, so Chris, it's
Aye.
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 Right, motion carries. Thank you. Now I would entertain a motion to adjourn as a Special Service Lighting District and reconvene as the Orem Municipal Building Authority.
So moved.
Second.
Right, a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I almost forgot to vote. Those opposed? Okay, hearing none. We will adjourn as a Special Service Lighting District and reconvene as the Orem Municipal Building Authority. The only item on the agenda is the Orem Municipal Building Authority is a consent item approving the meeting minutes of June 10th, 2025.
Go for it.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? So this is a meeting minutes from over a year ago. Is that right?
We only meet
Once a year.
once a year.
Okay,
For the
that's what I thought, but I wanted to just double check. Okay, so any further discussion? I vote aye.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes.
What is the Orem Municipal Building Authority?
So
Congratulations, you're part of it.
yeah, so back in I don't remember when exactly when it was created, but I know in 2000, we had lease financing arrangements made in relation to funding the street lighting program, as well as using, and what it has to do with is basically you get a lease on your buildings and get financing in relation to getting a loan on your building, and you use that money to then go finance whatever it is, in this case, streetlights and various park amenities. And so then those leases are paid off. Technically, I suppose they could take, if you didn't make your payments, they could come take your building, I suppose. But that's generally how it works, is getting a lien against your building and using that structure as a way to get financing. It generally has higher rates. I shouldn't say generally, it always has higher rates than general obligation bonds or revenue bonds, because all you have is, a piece of structure that they have to rely on. And as you can imagine, most people who are doing giving us the money don't want to take your building. They realize that's not a good thing. So anyway, but that does cost you a higher rate when you do those. And since those paid off, I want to say it was around 2015, 16, 17, somewhere in there. We just haven't had the need to do that. And mostly because our debt structure is so low, it just hasn't been that need to go that route. And so because that's the only thing you primarily use that MBA for, we just haven't had a need to use it.
So we just have decided to just hang on to it.
Yeah, we didn't want to dissolve it because there's always the possibility that maybe we wanted to use it.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you'll recall, Alpine School District, they did something very similar to this when the property tax was
bond, the GO bond was defeated or didn't get passed. They went the route of going to using an MBA lease revenue bond to get some funding for what they wanted to do. Because at the time, it's changed since then, but at the time it doesn't require a vote by the public to pass that. It's simply you as a council approving going forward with bonding. So that's changed.
So if I infer correctly from your answer, we should not anticipate a really exciting agenda in this coming year with the Orem Municipal Building Authority.
Nope, none whatsoever.
You can rest easy with this responsibility.
You can know it's hanging out
can
there,
do it.
but
Yes.
hopefully in my tenure, you'll never see it again.
Well, that's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. And I appreciate the explanation. Thank you. All right. So we have a motion and a second.
Question, now we vote.
Now we vote, and I vote aye.
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 All right, motion carries. All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
A second.
Right, we have a motion and second. All those in
Aye.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And we got done, my goal was before 8 o'clock. 3 minutes.
You have 3 minutes to hand in your